Hi, Sarah Cowgill here, along with Andrew Moran, Kelly Ballard, Dave Patterson, and Graham Noble. And this is the Conservative 5, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. Joe Biden keeps dozing off, tipping over and looking for his invisible friends. Kamala Harris just keeps making up whoppers to appease whatever audience she's talking to. It's embarrassing to everyone, it seems, but them. And yet, it appears they are going to run together again. Harris is out giggling her way through the whistle stops. Joe's back in the basement. What's the latest on Kamala and Joe and the lies they tell, Dave?
Well, the latest dust up is Florida's history education program. Now, that's not to suggest that Kamala Harris in any way will push for more education, but the Fox News calls it, a cycle of misinformation. If you take the 10,000-foot level of what's going on, effectively what Kamala Harris has said is that this new Florida history program teaches that slavery benefited the slaves. It does not say that. What it does say is that slavery, in some instances, developed useful skills that were of some benefit. And that curriculum, I might add, was co-authored by Dr. William Allen, a Black American and a descendant of slavery. And his assessment was that Kamala is a liar. And golly, what a newsflash. I mean, what?
That's the presses.
Yes, well, actually, the vice president's clown act, the lying notwithstanding, I see it as kind of dangerous. She's the borders are looking for root causes, not root solutions. And she did an address not long after the Biden administration came into office. She went to Vandenberg Space Force Base to deliver a speech. And her basic theme was, space is important because there's so much of it. And
Gotta love her.
But at the same time, she said that the United States is no longer going to participate in anti-satellite research because Russia and China are doing an excellent job of putting enough debris in space, and so we're not going to do that. Never mind the fact that they're developing and perfecting their anti-satellite capability while we aren't. So I like to think of Kamala as, Captain Obvious's lesser known, less savvy younger sister, Cackling Kamala.
Hey, that's a good one. I like that one. Cackling Kamala. I like that one.
Oh, Kelly looks like she wants to chat. Kelly, come on, tell us what you think of this fabulous ticket and what they're going to run on this time.
I don't even know what to say. I mean, it reminds me of some Jim Carrey movies, Dumb and Dumber. I don't know.
Ouch.
Was he?
Graham, help Kelly out here. She seems to be at a loss for words.
I'm befuddled.
In public.
I did like Dave's Captain Obvious reference, because it was just maybe about a week ago, or maybe sometime in the last 10 days, Kamala was giving a speech somewhere, and she was talking about public transportation, and she made an astounding insightful comment when she said, basically, this is not an exact quote, but it's a paraphrase. She said that really what it all comes down to is that, public transportation is about getting people from one place to another.
Really? I don't get that. I don't see that.
I wish I had the exact quote, but that's basically what she said. She said,
how big? What's the biggest lie? I mean, just go around the table here. What's the biggest lie or most ridiculous lie you think this dynamic duo has told since they came on the scene together?
I think what stands out most above all the other lies, what stands out most is this constant narrative that this administration has in fact created the strongest economy we've ever had. And they keep, and I'm sure, Andrew could probably go on for weeks about this, but that's what they've been saying. They've been saying it the whole time, that apparently, and Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary, continues to repeat this, and they say it over and over again, that in fact, right now, they have built the strongest economy the United States has ever seen. And that, to me, has got to be the biggest of all the lies.
I thought it was going to be Corn Pop. I thought it was going to be,
he was a bad dude.
The rival gangs that, Joe had to talk down once in his lifetime, or the smoking pot in college and listening to Tupac.
Well, you can go on.
Those are my biggest ones. Gosh, and you guys all
Joe Biden, he was a truck driver.
And economy. Okay. Andrew?
Well,
tell Graham he's wrong.
I want to talk about something completely different. Let's talk about the significance of the passage of time. When you think about it, there's great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do and lay the wires. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when you think about a day in the life of our children. And that's an exact quote from Kamala Harris, if you guys don't know.
Yeah.
I agree completely with Graham that this claims about the greatest economy, and then it's been awful. Real wage growth only finally turned positive now. You had 9.1% inflation. You have skyrocketing deficits and debt. So no, this isn't a strong economy.
But why do people believe it? Because everybody's struggling. How do they believe that this is the best economy ever? And they will, because they'll vote for these yahoos. What's going on here?
If you look at some of the polling data, you see that most Republicans think the U.S. is already in a recession. But what's more interesting about some of the poll, I think it was a YouGov Economist poll, and it showed that a third of Democrats think the U.S. is already in a recession. So I think that's worth pointing out. And one more thing, too, before I defer to Ms. Ballard to add to this. I've never seen the show, but I've seen clips on the Twitterverse, and it compares Kamala Harris to the character Selena Meyer. And she was played by the lovely Julia Louis-Dreyfus in a show called VP. And what they say are completely identical. The way Meyer speaks is the exact same way Kamala Harris talks.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
Obesity is a serious disease, and it needs to be taken seriously.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
I hope that clarifies the issue, and this can be the last word on those words.
Certain issues are just settled.
But yeah, I find that absolutely astounding. And what I find also astounding is that how come vice presidents are not the brightest of people? Is it because the president wants to look better than the VP? I mean, you had Mr. Potato with an E, Dan Quayle. You had Mr. I invented the internet, Al Gore. You had Darth Vader, Dick Cheney. And now we have, then you had Mr. We ended cancer, Joe Biden. So I don't know what's up with these vice presidents. You guys tell me. Dave is a scholar on this, so maybe Dave can.
I'll tell you, there have been fairly decent vice presidents. George H.W. Bush was a pretty good vice president, and Ronald Reagan, gave him responsibilities, and he carried them out, and without much fanfare, but nonetheless. And but it just seems to me that the biggest lie that has been injurious to the greatest number of people was the lie that said, we did a great job getting out of Afghanistan. You got to be joking me. The biggest catastrophic, it exceeds the concept of debacle. And yet these clowns continue to maintain great job.
How many hours did it take, Dave, for the Taliban to be back in power?
About 13. I mean, they did have to bust some people in from the farmland in order to take over. But it's just,
if you want to talk about lies, though, just Joe Biden the other day, he was asked about the whole Afghanistan and that report that came out recently. And he said, read the report. It said that Al-Qaeda wouldn't be there anymore and the Taliban would help. And that turned out to be completely bogus because Al-Qaeda is actually helping the Taliban now. So even that in itself is a lie, And then I inadvertently answered Sarah's earlier question about some of the biggest lies that the Biden administration has said. It just happened the other day. Biden said, quote, "We ended cancer as we know it." So there you go. So that's probably the biggest whopper of them all.
Kelly,
Well,
I'm going to give you kind of almost the last word. Well, okay, Dave, go ahead.
anyone who knows me knows it's about immigration. And I think that the administration has lied so much about illegal immigration and the problem we have over there. And what the press secretary just said recently, that Joe Biden, he's been to the border during his administration. No one knows of that. Where is that? They're not really doing anything, even though they say they are. They say they're not working on open borders, but obviously,
well, I mean,
they
I think you can all, back me up on this. It's because they have cover from the media. Whatever the media says, they will reproduce that and clip it and make sure it sounds normal on their evening broadcasts. And it doesn't necessarily mean it happens that way. Dave, you had something going on before I interrupted you. What was you talking about?
Well, I think that what you all have said is, we can talk about Kamala and the Biden administration and the gaffes. I mean, until we're blue in the face. But with the curing of cancer, oncologists everywhere are looking for jobs.
Well, that's going to add to the problem in the overall economy, I think. Oh, Lord, is this the dream team of 2024? Lord, help us all. God save the Queen, you dog-faced pony soldiers. Thanks, panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. I'm Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today. Free thinking, free speech, libertynation.com.